My mother-in-law stood there watching my 8-year-old daughter gasping for air, her face swelling like a balloon, and she actually said, "Stop being so dramatic, Melody." 20 minutes later, when the police officer asked me one simple question at the hospital, I gave him an answer that made her collapse into a chair and start sobbing uncontrollably. But let me back up, because you need to understand who we all are and how we got to that horrifying moment. I'm Francine, 35 years old, and I work as an elementary school librarian here in Columbus, Ohio. It's the perfect job for me because I've always believed in being prepared, organized, and careful. Those qualities became even more important when my daughter Melody was diagnosed with severe nut allergies at age 3. Melody is my whole world. She's this bright, energetic kid with curly red hair that she inherited from my side of the family, and her father's brilliant green eyes. She loves gymnastics, collects sparkly headbands, and has this infectious laugh that can light up any room. She's also brave in ways that constantly amaze me. She carries her EpiPen in her special pink backpack without complaint, knows to ask about ingredients everywhere we go, and never makes other kids feel bad when she can't share their snacks. My husband Dennis is a good man, truly. He works as a financial advisor downtown, always home by 6 for family dinner. He's the type who reads every bedtime story with different voices for each character and never misses one of Melody's gymnastics meets. But Dennis has one blind spot that's caused tension throughout our 12-year marriage: his inability to stand up to his mother, Gloria. Gloria Whitman is 62 years old and built her entire identity around being the matriarch who knows best. For 30 years, she ran a successful catering business called Gloria's Gourmet, serving elaborate meals at weddings, corporate events, and upscale parties throughout Central Ohio. She takes pride in her old-school approach to everything. She believes children today are coddled, that modern parenting creates weakness, and that food allergies are mostly psychological issues invented by overprotective parents. From the day Dennis first introduced me to her, Gloria made it clear she thought her son could have done better. I wasn't from the right neighborhood, didn't have the right pedigree, and worst of all, I had anxieties about food that she found ridiculous. When Melody was diagnosed with her allergies, Gloria's response was to roll her eyes and say, "Another one of these trendy problems. In my day, children ate what was put in front of them." The family reunion that changed everything was supposed to be a celebration. Gloria's brother Hector was flying in from Phoenix with his wife Ramona and their daughter Juniper. It was the first time in 5 years the whole extended family would be together. Gloria had called me 2 weeks before, her voice dripping with forced sweetness. "Now, Francine, I know all about Melody's little sensitivity to nuts. Don't worry your pretty little head about it. I've been cooking for hundreds of people for 3 decades. I think I can handle one child's dietary restrictions." The way she said little sensitivity should have been my first warning. The condescending pretty little head comment should have been my second. But I wanted so desperately for Melody to have normal family experiences. I wanted her to feel included, not like the kid whose mom always brought separate meals in labeled containers. Dennis had assured me it would be fine. "Mom said she understands, Francine. She's making nut-free options. Maybe this will be the chance for her to see that we're not exaggerating about Melody's condition." I remember standing in our bedroom that morning, holding Melody's EpiPen and debating whether to put it in my purse or give her the backup one for her backpack. My instinct said to bring both. That instinct saved my daughter's life. As we drove to Gloria's house that Saturday afternoon, Melody was bouncing with excitement in the back seat. "Mom, do you think Cousin Juniper will like gymnastics too? Maybe we can show her my back walkover, and Grandma said she was making her special chocolate cake just for me." My stomach tightened at that last part. Gloria had never made anything just for Melody before, but I pushed down my anxiety, not wanting to transfer my worries to my daughter. Dennis reached over and squeezed my hand, interpreting my silence correctly. "It's going to be fine," he said. "Mom promised she checked all the ingredients." If only we had known that Gloria's promise meant nothing compared to her need to prove she was right about everything. If only we had understood that her ego was more important to her than her granddaughter's safety. Life with Melody's allergies had always been a careful dance of preparation and vigilance. Every restaurant visit, every birthday party, every school event required advanced planning. I'd gotten used to being that mom who brought separate snacks and checked every ingredient label twice. The other parents at Melody's school knew me as the one who sent detailed emails before class parties, who volunteered to bring the safe cupcakes, who had trained the school nurse on exactly how to use an EpiPen. Dennis understood the severity because he'd been there for Melody's first reaction when she was 3. We'd given her a cookie at a bakery, assured by the teenage worker that it was nut-free. Within minutes, our toddler's face had turned red and puffy, her breathing becoming a terrifying wheeze. That ambulance ride changed everything. Dennis held her tiny hand while I screamed at the paramedics to drive faster. He saw what anaphylaxis really meant, and from that day forward, he became as vigilant as I was. But Gloria had never witnessed it. She lived in her own universe where her 30 years of catering experience made her an expert on everything food-related. She ran Gloria's Gourmet with an iron fist and old-fashioned principles. No gluten-free options unless specifically paid for in advance. No substitutions, no special accommodations without an upcharge. She prided herself on her no-nonsense approach to food and life. Back in my day, kids ate everything and were grateful, she'd say whenever I'd politely decline her homemade treats for Melody. All these allergies suddenly appearing out of nowhere. Very convenient for picky eaters, don't you think? The comments were constant. At Dennis's birthday dinner, I made peanut butter pie, it's Dennis's favorite. Such a shame Melody can't have any, or can't she? At Christmas, these almond cookies are a family tradition going back 60 years. Surely a tiny bite wouldn't hurt. At Easter, I hid special candy for all the grandkids. Oh wait, Melody probably can't have any of it. How unfortunate. Each comment was delivered with a small smile that never reached her eyes, a tone that suggested I was the problem, not the allergies. Dennis would occasionally mumble, "Mom, please," but never with any real conviction. He'd been trained for 37 years to avoid confrontation with Gloria Whitman. The family reunion was scheduled for the last Saturday in September. Gloria had called me 2 weeks prior, which was unusual since she typically communicated through Dennis. Her voice had been particularly cheerful, which immediately put me on edge. "Francine, dear, I want to make sure everything is perfect for when Hector visits. I know about Melody's dietary restrictions, and I want you to know I'm taking them seriously. I've already planned a completely nut-free menu. You can relax and enjoy yourself for once." I wanted to believe her. God, how I wanted to believe that my mother-in-law was finally accepting Melody's condition as real. "That's very thoughtful, Gloria. If you need any brand recommendations for nut-free alternatives, I have a whole list." "That won't be necessary," she'd replied curtly. "I've been cooking professionally since before you were born. I think I can manage to avoid nuts." The morning of the reunion, I went through my usual routine. I packed Melody's emergency kit with 2 EpiPens, Benadryl, and her medical information card. I put one EpiPen in my purse, another in Melody's pink backpack with the unicorn keychain. I even threw in some safe snacks just in case, though Dennis saw me and frowned. "Francine, Mom said she's handling it. Bringing our own food will just insult her." "I'd rather insult her than risk Melody's safety," I replied, but I could see the exhaustion in his eyes. The constant navigation between his mother and me was wearing him down. "Can we just try to have one normal family gathering?" he asked. "Mom promised. She used the words, nut-free. She understands." Melody bounced into our room at that moment, already dressed in her favorite purple dress with the twirly skirt. "Is today the day I meet Cousin Juniper? Daddy said she's exactly my age, 8 3/4. "That's right, sweetheart," Dennis said, scooping her up, "and Grandma's making special food just for you." "Really? Grandma never makes special food for me." Melody's face lit up with such pure joy that my heart ached. This was what I'd wanted, for her to feel included and loved by all her family members. As we loaded into the car, I made one last check of my purse. EpiPen, Benadryl, insurance cards, hospital directions programmed into my phone. I was ready for an emergency I desperately hoped would never come. But that sick feeling in my stomach, that maternal instinct that had never failed me, was screaming that something was going to go wrong. The party started beautifully. Gloria's house was decorated with family photos spanning decades, including ones of Dennis as a gap-toothed child and their family's old catering storefront. The September sun streamed through the windows, casting warm light on the polished hardwood floors. Melody was thrilled to meet her cousin Juniper, Hector's daughter, who was exactly her age. They bonded instantly over their shared love of gymnastics and spent the first hour showing each other cartwheels in the backyard while the adults caught up. "Your daughter is wonderful," Ramona, Hector's wife, said to me as we watched the girls play. She was a pediatric nurse at Phoenix Children's Hospital, and her warm demeanor immediately put me at ease. Juniper's been so excited to meet her cousin. She doesn't have any family friends her age back home. Gloria bustled around in her element, directing everyone like she was catering one of her high-end events. She'd prepared an impressive spread: herb-roasted chicken, garlic mashed potatoes, green beans with bacon, her famous honey-glazed carrots, and fresh rolls. The dining room table was set with her best china, the kind she only brought out for special occasions. During dinner, I stayed vigilant. I checked each dish Melody reached for, quietly confirming with Dennis what was in everything. Gloria noticed my careful observation and her lips pursed slightly, but she said nothing. The meal was delicious, I had to admit. Gloria knew how to cook, and for once, everything seemed safe. Melody ate happily, laughing with Juniper about their matching sparkly headbands and making plans to become gymnastics pen pals. "The food is wonderful, Gloria," Ramona complimented. "You must share your recipe for these carrots." Gloria beamed, her chest puffing with pride. "It's all about using real ingredients. None of this processed nonsense everyone relies on these days. Real butter, real cream, real flour. That's the secret." Then came dessert time. Gloria stood up with great ceremony. "Now, I've prepared something special. My grandmother's chocolate torte recipe, passed down through 3 generations." She disappeared into the kitchen and emerged carrying a magnificent chocolate torte, 3 layers tall, glossy with dark chocolate ganache, and decorated with what looked like crushed almonds on top. The sides were dusted with what appeared to be almond flour, giving it an elegant, professional finish. My heart stopped. "Gloria, does that have nuts?" I asked, already reaching for Melody's plate. She set the torte down with a flourish. "Oh, it's just a tiny bit of almond flour in the cake and some crushed almonds on top. Barely anything, really." "Gloria, no. Melody cannot have any nuts at all. You said dinner would be nut-free." "Dinner was nut-free," she replied, her tone sharpening. "This is dessert. And honestly, Francine, a microscopic amount of almond flour mixed into chocolate cake isn't going to hurt anyone. You're creating anxiety in this child with all your hovering." Dennis shifted uncomfortably in his chair. "Mom, if it has almonds, Melody can't have it. We've been over this." "You've been over this," Gloria corrected. "I've been cooking for 50 years. I've served thousands of people. Don't you think I'd know if something was actually dangerous? This modern hysteria over every little ingredient is ridiculous." Hector tried to defuse the situation. "Gloria, why don't we just give Melody some ice cream instead?" "No." Gloria's voice rose. "I'm tired of this performance. Every family gathering, it's about what Melody can't have, what we all have to avoid, how we have to change everything for one child's supposed problem." "Supposed problem?" I stood up, my hands shaking. "She nearly died when she was 3. She carries an EpiPen everywhere she goes. This isn't a preference, Gloria. It's life-threatening." "You're both enabling this attention-seeking behavior," Gloria announced to the room. "Children learn to be dramatic when drama gets them special treatment. Watch, I'll prove it." Before I could react, before anyone could move, she'd cut a piece of the torte and held it out to Melody. "Here, sweetie. Grandma made this special for you. It's perfectly safe." "Mom, no!" Dennis shouted, finally finding his voice. But Melody, who trusted her grandmother, who was so thrilled to finally be included in something special from Grandma, had already taken a bite. She smiled at first, the chocolate rich on her tongue. "See?" Gloria said triumphantly. "She's perfectly fine, all this fuss over nothing." Then Melody's hand went to her throat. Her eyes widened in familiar panic. "Mommy, I can't breathe right." The room erupted. Juniper started crying. Ramona immediately went into nurse mode. Dennis knocked over his chair, getting to Melody, and Gloria stood there, frozen, still holding the plate with the rest of the slice. her face slowly draining of all color as she watched her granddaughter's face begin to swell. Everything moved in slow motion and high speed simultaneously. Melody's face began swelling before our eyes, her lips puffing up like balloons, angry red hives spreading across her cheeks and neck. Her breathing became a horrible wheeze, each inhale a struggle that made a whistling sound that will haunt me forever. I dropped to my knees beside her chair, my hands steady despite my terror as I pulled the EpiPen from my purse. "She's faking it for attention," Gloria said. But her voice wavered, uncertain now as she watched her granddaughter's skin turn blotchy. "This is just drama. She's scared because you all made such a fuss. Gloria, get out of my way!" I'd never screamed at her before, but she was standing between me and a clear space on the floor where I needed to lay Melody down. Dennis was already on the phone with 911, his voice rapid but clear. "My daughter is having an anaphylactic reaction. She's 8 years old, severe nut allergy. We're administering epinephrine now." I laid Melody on the floor, her breathing getting worse by the second. Her eyes were terrified, looking at me with the same trust she'd had as a baby. I pulled off the EpiPen cap, my hands remembering the motion I'd practiced hundreds of times on training devices. "This is going to hurt for just a second, baby. You're going to be okay." I jammed the needle into her outer thigh, holding it for the full count of 10 while she cried out. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. I counted aloud, keeping my voice steady for her, even as my heart was shattering. Ramona immediately took over, dropping to her knees beside us with the professional efficiency of someone who'd handled medical emergencies before. She checked Melody's pulse, timing it on her watch. "Pulse is rapid but strong. Dennis, tell them we administered 1 dose of epinephrine at 4:47 p.m. She needs immediate transport." "But I only gave her a tiny piece," Gloria whispered from somewhere behind us. She kept repeating it like a mantra. "Just a tiny piece. It was barely anything." Hector had moved Juniper to the other room, shielding her from the scene, but we could hear the little girl crying, calling for her cousin. The sound broke my heart even more, because Melody couldn't answer. She was focused entirely on breathing, each breath a monumental effort. "You were told she was allergic." I couldn't look at Gloria. I kept my eyes on Melody's face, watching for any improvement from the EpiPen. "You were told explicitly. You promised the food would be safe." "Francine, keep talking to her," Ramona instructed. "Melody, sweetie, look at your mom. Keep your eyes on your mom." "I'm right here, baby," I said, stroking her hair back from her sweaty forehead. "The medicine is working. The ambulance is coming. Remember how we practiced? Deep breaths as deep as you can." But the EpiPen wasn't enough. I could see it wasn't enough. Her breathing was still labored. The swelling wasn't going down. I reached for my backup EpiPen in Melody's backpack. "She needs a second dose," Ramona confirmed, reading my mind. "It's been 3 minutes. Go ahead." Gloria tried to come closer. "Let me help. I can help. I know first aid from my catering certification." "Mom, stop!" Dennis's voice was ice cold, something I'd never heard from him before. "You've done enough. Stay back." I administered the second EpiPen, this time in her other thigh. Melody was barely conscious now, her eyes fluttering. "Stay with me, baby. Stay with Mommy." The ambulance arrived in 6 minutes that felt like 6 hours. The paramedics burst through the door with their equipment, immediately taking over. One of them, a young woman with kind eyes, gently moved me aside. "You did everything right, Mom. We've got her now." They worked with terrifying efficiency, setting up an IV, administering more medications, placing an oxygen mask over Melody's swollen face. The lead paramedic called out readings to his partner, who relayed them to the hospital. Terms like severe anaphylaxis and multiple epinephrine doses and prepare pediatric ICU floated over my head. As they loaded Melody onto the stretcher, she reached for me with one small hand. Her voice was barely a whisper through the mask. "Mommy, am I going to die?" "No, baby, you're going to be fine. The doctors will help you. Mommy's coming with you." I climbed into the ambulance beside her, not even looking back at the house. Gloria tried to get in the ambulance with us, pushing past Dennis. "I'm her grandmother. I should be there. I need to explain to the doctors that it was just a tiny amount." Dennis caught her arm. And for the first time in 12 years of marriage, I saw him look at his mother with genuine anger. "We'll call you from the hospital." The ambulance doors slammed shut and we raced toward the hospital, sirens wailing. At the hospital, Melody stabilized after additional treatment. The emergency room team worked with practiced precision, pushing more epinephrine, steroids, and antihistamines through her IV. I held her hand the entire time, watching the monitors as her oxygen levels slowly climbed back toward normal. After 2 hours that felt like days, Dr. Winters, a stern woman with steel gray hair pulled into a tight bun, finally told us Melody was out of immediate danger. "She's lucky," Dr. Winters said, reviewing Melody's chart with a frown. "Another 5 minutes and we might have lost her. The dual EpiPen administration at home saved her life." She looked up at me over her reading glasses. "Who gave her nuts knowing she was allergic?" "My mother-in-law," I said quietly. She knew about the allergy but didn't believe it was real. Dr. Winters' expression darkened. "I see this too often. Family members who think they know better than medical professionals." She made notes in the chart. "Hospital protocol requires us to report severe allergic reactions in children when negligence might be involved. An officer will need to speak with you." 20 minutes later, Officer Bradley arrived. He was younger than I expected, maybe early 30s, with a gentle demeanor that seemed at odds with his uniform. He pulled up a chair beside Melody's bed where she was now sleeping, exhausted from the ordeal. "Ma'am, I need to understand what happened," he said, pulling out a small notebook. "Your daughter's medical records show multiple documented severe allergic reactions. This wasn't her first episode?" "No," I explained. "She was diagnosed at age 3. We've had 2 other reactions, both from accidental cross-contamination. We carry EpiPens everywhere. Everyone in our family knows about her allergy." "And who was aware of her allergy at this gathering today?" "Everyone," I said, my voice growing stronger. "I told everyone multiple times. My mother-in-law Gloria knew. She specifically told me 2 weeks ago that she would make nut-free food." Dennis sat in the corner, his head in his hands. He hadn't said much since we arrived, but I could see the weight of guilt crushing him. He should have stood up to his mother years ago. We both knew it. "And who gave her the food containing nuts?" Officer Bradley continued. "That's when Gloria arrived at the hospital. Dennis had finally called her after Melody was stable. She stood in the doorway, her usually perfect hair disheveled, her makeup smeared from crying. She still wore her hostess apron with Gloria's Gourmet embroidered on it. "My mother-in-law, Gloria Whitman," I said clearly, meeting her eyes across the room. "She was told multiple times about the severity. She said Melody was faking it for attention. She deliberately gave her cake with almonds to prove we were being overdramatic." Officer Bradley turned to Gloria. "Ma'am, is this accurate?" Gloria's face went completely white. She gripped the doorframe for support. "I didn't think it was real. I mean, I've been around children all my life with my catering business. These allergies are so overblown these days. Everyone claims to have an allergy to something. Ma'am, deliberately giving a child a known allergen after being warned could be considered assault," Officer Bradley said, his voice remaining professional but firm. "In cases where severe harm results, it could even be considered attempted manslaughter if the intent was to cause harm or if there was reckless disregard for the child's safety." "What?" Gloria collapsed into a chair that Dennis quickly pushed behind her. "I would never hurt my granddaughter. I love Melody. I just thought they were exaggerating." "Ignorance after explicit warnings isn't a defense," Officer Bradley explained. "You were informed of a life-threatening medical condition and chose to ignore it. That's reckless endangerment at minimum." He turned back to me. "The family will need to decide if they want to press charges. The hospital's report will be filed regardless, but criminal charges would be your decision." Gloria began sobbing uncontrollably. "Dennis, please. You know I didn't mean for this to happen. I just thought you were all being too careful. I wanted to show you it. Wasn't that serious? I wanted to prove that you were worrying over nothing." Dennis finally looked at his mother, and his face was a mixture of rage and devastation. "You wanted to prove you were right. That was more important than my daughter's safety. Mom, you could have killed her. Do you understand that? You could have killed my daughter because you thought you knew better than her parents and her doctors." The case would likely result in a conviction, Officer Bradley added quietly. There are witnesses, medical records, and clear evidence of prior warning. Reckless endangerment of a minor carries serious penalties. Gloria looked at me with desperate eyes. Francine, please, I'm so sorry. I'll do anything. I'll never cook for her again. I'll never question you again. Please don't send me to jail. I'm 62 years old. We didn't press charges, not because Gloria didn't deserve consequences, but because Melody needed to heal without a long legal battle. The decision tore me apart for weeks. Part of me wanted Gloria to face the full weight of the law for what she'd done. But the other part, the mother part, just wanted my daughter to recover without having to testify in court or relive that terrible day over and over again. However, our conditions for not pressing charges were non-negotiable. Gloria had to attend allergy awareness training through the hospital's education program, 8 weeks of classes that she couldn't miss. She could never prepare food for Melody again, not even a glass of water. All visits would be supervised, and she had to wait 3 months before seeing Melody at all. Dennis delivered these terms to his mother, and for once, he didn't waver when she tried to negotiate. The incident transformed Gloria in ways I never expected. She became the most vigilant advocate for allergy awareness I've ever seen. She changed her entire catering business model, getting certified in allergen-free food preparation. She now requires detailed allergy information for every event she caters and has separate prep areas for common allergens. She even offers free nut-free options for any child at her events, absorbing the extra cost herself. 6 months after the incident, Gloria asked to meet me for coffee. She looked older, smaller somehow, like the weight of her actions had physically diminished her. She pulled out her wallet and showed me a photo she kept there, one from that night that Dennis had taken earlier at dinner, Melody laughing with Juniper. "I nearly killed my granddaughter with my arrogance," she said, tears streaming down her face. "How do you forgive someone for that, Francine? How do you trust them again?" "I don't know if I fully have," I admitted, being honest for both our sakes. "But Melody loves you. She's alive. And you've changed. That has to count for something. Trust will take time, maybe years, but you're doing the work." Melody, resilient as children are, recovered completely. She doesn't remember much from that night, just that Grandma made a mistake with her food and that she got very sick. But she learned something valuable that even I hadn't anticipated. She learned that even people who love you can hurt you if they don't respect your boundaries, and that it's okay to be cautious with your trust. "Mom, why did Grandma Gloria not believe you about my allergies?" she asked me one day, about 4 months after the incident. "Sometimes adults think they know everything because they've lived a long time," I explained. "But being older doesn't always mean being wiser. Grandma Gloria learned that the hard way." Now, a year later, Gloria carries her own EpiPen for Melody. She reads every label twice and has become an expert at finding hidden allergens in ingredient lists. At family gatherings, she brings safe desserts from allergy-certified bakeries, always with the receipts and ingredient lists to show me. The woman who once called allergies modern nonsense now corrects other people who express doubt about food allergies. Last week, at Melody's 9th birthday party, I watched Gloria explaining to another grandmother about the severity of food allergies. "Never assume you know better than a parent about their child's medical needs," she said firmly. "I made that mistake once. It nearly cost me everything that matters." Melody overheard and walked over to hug her grandmother. "It's okay, Grandma G. You learned, right?" "Yes, sweetheart," Gloria said, her voice thick with emotion. "Grandma learned." Dennis and I have grown stronger through this, too. He finally understood that keeping the peace with his mother wasn't worth risking our daughter's life. He's become my fiercest advocate now, shutting down anyone who questions Melody's allergies with a firmness that would have shocked his younger self. "My mother nearly killed my daughter because she thought she knew better," he tells people who make dismissive comments about allergies. "Take it seriously or stay away from us." The thing about almost losing someone is that it clarifies everything. Gloria almost lost her granddaughter and her son. Dennis almost lost his daughter. I almost lost my entire world. And Melody? She almost lost her life because an adult who should have protected her decided her ego was more important than safety. But we survived. We're different now, all of us, marked by that terrible Saturday in September. Gloria's arrogance is gone, replaced by humility and vigilance. Dennis found his voice. I learned to trust my instincts even more, and Melody knows that her safety is non-negotiable, that she never has to eat anything to be polite or to avoid making a fuss. Sometimes the worst moments teach the most important lessons. Sometimes it takes almost losing someone to truly see them. But I still check every dessert twice, because some lessons, once learned, you never forget. If you found this story meaningful, please give it a like and share it with others who might need to hear it. Leave a comment below about your own experiences with family members who didn't take health issues seriously. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more real-life stories that might just change the way you see the world.